Niners just steamrolled through the Steelers, and we're looking at the Rams next, and they haven't had a good go at us for quite some time now, and all that and upcoming more. What up, Ted?
How much, Ryan? How are you? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
We had a victory Monday. I guess we could call it a victory Tuesday since we didn't talk yesterday.
Right.
Big win over the Steelers. Purdy played very well. I said he had a very good game. People keep saying I hate him, but I keep telling him I like him a lot. I just hate the hyperbole that surrounds him. So,
Right.
It's the when people say he's better than Mahomes, that's when I start to have a little bit of an issue. But
I'm guessing
it's getting pretty wild out there.
I'm guessing somebody like this is probably who says Purdy is like Mahomes. They're drinking the Kool-Aid, or they're on the bottle. You never know; they could be a raging alky.
You never know, do you? The mystery.
Yeah, gotta give a shout out.
Mystery wrapped inside of a riddle and a conundrum.
Give a shout out to my little pit bull. Niners own the Rams. That is right. Let's just see who won the Super Bowl last. Talk is cheap. Whiners. Okay. So Pitbull, we know who owns the Rams. It's the Niners. We have SoFi South. You haven't won a regular season game in, but this will be going on like 5 years or so.
This will be the 5th year. If we sweep them this year, it'll be 5 years in a row.
Yeah, and you're not. You don't have really much on your team. Like you just beat the Seahawks, or the Rams just beat the Seahawks, but I don't know if that's your team or not. The Rams just beat the Seahawks, but that's not necessarily your personnel is any better. Your team always kind of beat the Seahawks, just like we beat the Rams. So you know what I mean? It's not personnel.
It's that Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors in the NFC West. Niners on the Rams, Rams on the Seahawks. Yeah. Seahawks on the Niners, except for last year the Niners swept the Seahawks 3-0. So maybe that's kind of a rust thing. Some of this thing.
Coaching thing. It's all has to do with coaching. So obviously the coaches for the Niners know a little bit more about the scheme that McVay and LA is trying to bring to the table than the rest of the division does, because the Niners find some way to always stay ahead of it, right? And I'm not just talking out of my ass. You can watch the games. There's always some sort of defensive correction just in time to kind of, nip everything in the butt. One or two getting in through there. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that it's always, a blowout or anything like that, but we're always one step ahead of the Rams. Just like the Seahawks are usually always one step ahead of us. It's just how it has been. Last year was amazing. We got to beat Seattle in Seattle. Like that is like, mwah. You know what I'm saying? That's like the creme de la creme for us. So and we don't expect that every year. We're still very wary of what, Seattle brings, So I don't
One thing I would say about the Rams game with the Seahawks was before the game started, Devin Witherspoon, their top 5 cornerback pick, arguably one of the best corners in the draft, supposedly, we'll see, did not suit up for the game. And then Cross and Lucas, their 2 sophomore tackles, right tackle and left tackle, both left the game with injuries. So probably not Seattle Seahawks' best showing. I would just go out on a limb and say.
I think the biggest problem was actually the offensive coordinator. When I was watching the game, it seemed like when the Seahawks decided they were going to run, they were doing well as far as getting yards. And it seemed like they'd get 4 or 5 yards, and then they'd immediately pass on second down. It would be incomplete. So now there's 3rd and 5, and they'd pass again. And it was like every time you drop back to get to pass, they wouldn't do anything. It was just incomplete in some way or another. You know what I mean? Or, thrown away or sack. And I just thought the offensive coordinator was just lacking. And the moment when it seemed like he wanted to do something different, it was too late because you didn't have enough time left in the game to run down the field multiple times to like lessen that gap. That's the situation you put yourself in when you don't come out and establish the run, and then they figure out how to stop the pass. Then you become one-dimensional, and the moment they get up on you in points and they've already got you locked down in the passing game, you can't make it back. That's why you should always have a good run game, establish it early, and use it late in the game to run the clock out when you got the lead. They did.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, it was a close game for a long time, and Seahawks just kind of ran away with it there at the end. But
yeah,
or not Seahawks, the Rams, I should say. I was a little surprised. I was surprised to see how well Tutu Atwell played for the Rams, and also what's her Nakua? Is that the name of their rookie?
What is his name?
Puka Nakua.
Puka Nakua.
Yeah, I thought they had really good games. I really thought without Cooper Kupp, they wouldn't have much bite, and they definitely seem to. So,
well, Puka Nakua was using the same slot position where they like to keep Cooper Kupp. So essentially, he was just plug and play Cooper Kupp, which I know that sounds absurd to say, but they're just using the same scheme as they would to get Cooper Kupp open with Puka Nakua, which is, for the Rams, you got to be excited to know that Cooper Kupp will be coming back sometime in this year, but you got a guy you can depend on in that position. And if Cooper, when Cooper Kupp decides to retire, move down the way, you might have his replacement right there for you. So that, as a Rams fan, that's something that's it's good. We got Brian Hope in the house.
I would just say, with anything that happened this weekend, it's week 1 in the NFL. A lot of weird things happen week 1. A lot of teams don't play, superstars at all or stars very much in preseason. A lot of teams start out rusty. A lot of weird things happen week 1. So I would encourage everybody not to read too much into week 1 and just make these sweeping statements, which is what I've run into the last couple of days on Twitter a little bit with some pretty ridiculously homerish takes.
Yeah. This is the other thing, I think we just need to see it consistently before you can just crown anybody. And I'm not saying that I feel that he's going in a different trajectory. In fact, this game, if anybody was going to find a Brock Purdy weakness week 1, it was going to be Mike Tomlin. You know what I mean? I think out of all the coaches we probably face in the first, probably in the first couple weeks, I think he's the one that would have found it out once he figured out we got week 1. I'm gonna figure out something this guy does, and it seemed like Brock Purdy held up. They did not have an answer for us whatsoever. The only thing they had going was T.J. Watt. Najee Harris got stifled. That's I think the best way to put it. He got stifled. He got stuck in the hole, and it was almost a quarter before he got back out onto the field. I think he might have been a little shook. He also came back a little weird, so I don't know if he, might have tweaked something in his back a little bit, and it felt a little weird. And they're like, stay out for a little bit. Then these guys are playing a little rough. We don't, we're not trying to lose you for the whole season when we can just get through this game, with your backup. So there was that. I just can I ask you what your biggest takeaway from the game was in general? What
Well,
would
I mean, the D
yeah,
was locked down. The offense was great. I mean, it definitely fell off a little bit in the second half. I think we went 1 for 8 down the stretch on completions, but the game was pretty well in hand. So, I think at some point we were just playing the clock more than the score. So, I mean, Brock's numbers looked a lot like a lot of his numbers throughout his short career with us. But I'd say that was a better game than most of the games he's played as a 49er because, man, just like the first drive, we came out and it was like design play for Debo, a couple plays for Debo. We got to fourth down. There was the pass to Kittle to convert. Kyle went for it. Um, I don't know if I talked too much about it this offseason, but I definitely talked about it a lot this offseason. With getting Jake Moody, the things that I was excited about having Moody as our kicker. Um, I was excited to have a kicker that could make it from 60 plus, maybe even 63 plus, 65, who could boot it out of the end zone on kickoffs, although we didn't see that yet because it was Wish Nowski doing the kickoffs on Sunday. He's still not quite 100%, I guess, Jake. But also, I like the idea that Kyle wouldn't trust him as much as Robbie Gold, and that therefore might force his hand to go for it more on fourth and short. And so, we saw that. I think that could have been part of the reason why Kyle went for it was because he didn't trust Jake Moody from, I don't know, it's probably going to be about 63 yards. I think we were around the 45 and you had 18 to that. You're looking at over 60 to 65 yards for that field goal that would have been. So, I love that whole first drive. I love that, like I said, there's Debo, there was Kittle. Then we saw CMC, and of course, capped off with the TD catch by Ayuk. So we really got the one of each of the big four on that drive. So that was outstanding. Um, we just the offense started fast and was furious. Just Ayuk was everywhere. CMC was huge. Um, it was beautiful. Brock Purdy played really well. He was nailing those 10 to 19-yard passes. Um, there was a lot to like. A lot like Fred had that like guide Fred missile moment. Maybe that was against Najee Harris. I forget who the running back was,
That
but
was Najee.
he just drilled him right in the hole, and it reminded me kind of that Rams play where he got airborne and just was a guide Fred missile. I called it. So real quick, Pterodome asks, what do you classify as homerish, Ted? Saying that Brock Purdy's better than Patrick Mahomes. That's homerish. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback now and one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I've seen Purdy compared to Montana, Brady, Mahomes. Now today, everybody's saying he's better than Josh Allen. There's a poll. Grant Cohn did a poll, and Purdy won the poll. He's better than Josh Allen, and it's just like it's this whole QB wins mentality. It's this very casual mentality of like you can't even imagine what we would do with Josh Allen as our quarterback. We would
I
absolutely just
Did you see what happened last night?
teams. No, I mean he was poor, but think about his situation there. I added up his rushing totals for his first 5 seasons. He's averaged 600 yards rushing every season. His legs and arms accounted for 90, and his right arm accounted for 90% of the Bills' offense last night, and that's a very regular thing for the Bills. So yeah, he lost it with the interceptions and the fumbles, whatever it was, the turnover. I think it was like 3 interceptions and a fumble lost. Yeah, that's not good. I'm not gonna say that's good, but when you're pressing, when you're doing everything, you're more likely for that to happen. He only has one elite weapon, that's Stephon Diggs. So it's not like Purdy, who has the best group of weapons in the NFL. You got Debo, who's elite. He's at least as good as Diggs. You got Kittle. They got nothing like that on the Bills. Sorry, Dawson Knox is not Kittle, not even close. You got Ayuk. They got no. I mean, maybe their other receiver. I don't think he's Ayuk. they got nothing like CMC. They have no run game like we do. I don't know about their O line anymore, but I know our O line's pretty solid. And they don't have Kyle. And it's just like to sit there and try and compare them. It's a fool's errand. And I understand Brock led the league in QBR Sunday, or was top 3 or whatever he was. That's great. I'm happy. I just would say, Steelers linebackers are a bunch of nobodies, and so are their DBs. The name Pat Pete, but he's washed. Pat the Pick Pete, he called the pick, didn't get it. Instead, he got beat by Ayuk on a ball that could have been consistent. And then
that was such an amazing catch.
They got TJ Watt, they got Cam Hayward, and they got Alex Highsmith, and the rest I think are all basically replacement level. And and TJ Watt went off. He had three sacks and 2 forced fumbles. He's everything we thought he might be. He's arguably the best edge in the league. Sorry for all the Bosa fans. I think Bosa's probably a little bit better, but he certainly wasn't on Sunday. Basically Tomlin, I don't know if you heard this, but Tomlin basically went into the team and said, hey, everybody should give their game checks to TJ Watt because he's the only one who showed up today. Literally told his team that in the locker room. So, and that's sort of
did you hear the press conference afterwards?
No, what's that?
Pretty much we got out coached, outplayed, out everything. You know what I mean? It's not just the guys that need to do better. It's all of us. You know what I mean?
That's what great leaders do. They stand up to criticism and they duck praise. They shield the team from criticism. And they take it themselves and they duck praise to give the praise to their team. That's what great leaders do. So good for Mike Tomlin. He's a great coach.
I wanted to talk about my biggest takeaway, and I don't hear a lot of people.
Sorry, I went on for a while there.
You're apologies. Good. You're good. Get it off your chest, bro. It's half your show, anyways. Steve Wilkes. I'm sorry, my game ball goes to Steve Wilkes.
You did a great job.
D'Amico Ryans didn't have such a great first game or this and that, and he was hand in hand in the system. You know what I mean? Like just pushed on, got leveled up into the system. Like it was second nature to him. Steve Wilkes comes in. They say, hey, this is the system you're going to use. He says, okay, no problem. And he damn near pitches a shutout. And it could have been a shutout. And anybody who thinks that we couldn't have stopped that drive at somehow, some way, like Fred Warner's even mentioned it. Like, I'd like to have some things over because we let them score. Essentially, they know that could have been a shutout. That could have been a 30-0 game. And with your first game out of the gate, you're going to almost pitch a shutout, and everybody on the defense was sold out. They were sold out into whatever you were saying. I seen some plays that I don't know. I think I just looked at them like, man, we didn't really accomplish much there, but also not much happened. So I think there's room for obvious improvement. Or like there was one time we rushed 6 people and they picked everybody up. And I'm like, well, maybe we shouldn't be rushing 6 at this point in time, or we need to disguise it more. So, we've got an advantage. So it's not 6 on 6, it's 6 on 5. You know what I mean? We got to figure something out. And we'll do that. But that was an amazing first game. And I haven't heard a lot of people, talk, I guess, about how amazing it was. To me, I thought his first game out, there would be some bumps. And if you want to call a 1 touchdown drive a bump, I guess you can. I'm not going to call it a bump. I'm just saying it could have been a shutout, but you know what I mean? That's not a bump. That happens, and it's good. It's good. Something happened to him where he had to figure something out, and he figured out within the team how to make a change to stop it. So that's exactly what I want. You know what I mean? Like, we got some games coming up. It's better for him to get as much.
There you go. Well, Terradome is repeating himself about Micah, so let's get to that real quick. He said, did you hear what Micah said about Brock? And then he quotes it down. He's second from the bottom there. So it's time for everybody to sit up, take notice. Purdy has to be prepared for the good QBs like Mahomes, Allen Hurts, stop being biased on draft status. What Micah Parsons said, Terradome, was he said Purdy's top 15, and 15th is mid, and that's what I've been saying all along. So thank you, Micah, for agreeing with me. I appreciate it because top 15 doesn't mean top 10, and it means better than 16th is all it means. And 14 to 18, that's mid. That's what I've been saying about Purdy. So I quote tweeted it. Absolutely. As verification. He didn't use the word mid, but it's mid, it's middle, it's average, middle of the pack, mediocre, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. Deal with it.
I didn't say I was really worried, Smitty, but if you want to put those words in our mouths, that's fine.
What did Smitty say? Maybe I did. He's talking about the Steelers? I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely overblew their defense. I was worried about Watt. I was worried about Highsmith. I was worried about Cam Hayward. Oh, that's the other thing. They have 4 great players on their team, and Cam Hayward went down with an injury, so it's down to Watt is great, Minka is great. I don't even know if Alex Highsmith is great. He's a top 10 paid edge. He's definitely not bad. He's definitely good, but he's definitely not on the level of Minka, Cam Hayward, or TJ Watt. So they lost one of their big 3 on D before halftime.
All right, bro. Oh, poor Schmitty. He's living in a world
Terradome
where
City told us Wilkes was the
get out
dude.
of
I think we were all pretty bullish on Wilkes in the offseason, weren't we? I know I was.
Yeah.
I said I liked that he had been a head coach. I said I liked that he was a secondary guy. I
Yeah.
liked the more blitzing. I liked that he was a good leader of men. I
said he was the
too.
the best applicant we could have got.
So you're preaching to the choir, Terradome, but thank you.
No, I don't think that was Terradome. That's Smitty.
It was. He said, I told you Wilkes was the dude. Like we said the same thing. So.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't mean he's saying that we never said it.
Portola says River Craycraft balling for the Dolphins. Oh, Steve-O's here. He says, look at these 2 perverts. No, Steve-O, we're not perverts. Perverts are people who are Purdy homers who compare him to Mahomes and say he's better. That's a pervert. People call me a hater, but that's not true either. I really like Purdy. I just don't like the hyperbole. I don't like comparing him to elite QBs when he's not elite. He might be someday. He's not yet. So he showed some flashes definitely on Sunday. If he can keep that up, that's possible. Because partially what I'll say is what we saw Sunday from Purdy, we didn't really see any, like you said, we nearly shut out the Steelers. There was no real reason to unleash him in the second half and really try and run the score up. So I have no doubts that we could have scored more than 30 if we had needed to. So, there's a lot to like. Oh,
yeah.
Yo, I got 2 right. I'm outnumbered. What's going on here? There you go.
You're
back on your computer?
Yeah. Well, it was, and then something happened. I think my Wi-Fi is overheating.
Oh, you need to get a fan. Is it hot up there in the PNW?
No, the box is just running hot. So I've already got like a Wi-Fi box that sits underneath it and pumps the up there.
Terradome says, there's the hate. I don't hate Purdy, man. I really like him. I hate the hyperbole. There's a big difference. I hate people. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to say it again. I've said it till I'm blue in the face.
Don't worry about it. We can move on anyways. It's not like
and Terradome says I'm always wrong. Well, we'll see if I was wrong about keeping Darnold. We'll see. If you're banking on Darnold, don't bet your rent money, Terradome. That's all I have to say. I just hope if we see him, it's just for more of these kneel downs and blowouts. I'd hope we never have to see Darnold in a game where we need him to do something for us. I don't think it will go well.
Smitty, if you want to put us down in the books for saying we were worried about somebody, it's with Sam Darnold. You can quote me on that, please. Other than that, you probably should just go back to the chopping block.
Terradome says I'm sensitive. Well, guess what?
Yeah, we having fun though. So
Absolutely. Always.
now let's
Also,
talk.
just want to encourage people, if you're on Ryan's channel, pop over to mine, give me a like and subscribe. Same thing if you're on TED Talks Ball, get over to No Border Sports, like and subscribe. If you're on a browser, open up a second tab, get us more of those watch hours. It really helps us. And if you're on a phone, you could always pop open a tablet or second phone and get 2 devices rocking. It really helps. So thanks in advance.
Sean John is trying to tell you that top 15 quarterbacks is mid.
That's what I've been saying. I've been saying Purdy's 14 to 18 is somewhere in there, and top 15 is mid. That's exactly what 15 is. It's
top 15 wouldn't be mid. Top 15 wouldn't be mid. 20 through 10 would be mid, right?
Well, 15 is right in the middle.
I get you there. I'm just saying, like, because if you're going to break it into top, mid, and low, right? It's divisible by 3, 32 teams. I'm just going to forget about the last 2. We'll just put them on the bottom. So you've got top 10, and then you got the mid.
Except for like the last 6 QBs get replaced every year, at least the last 6.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then so 21 down is all just low, essentially. But then if you go and rank them by talent, then that's where the tiers get lumped around, because you've got more guys at a certain talent level than other talent levels.
Pterodome asked if Darnold's the number 2 QB. Yeah, he is. Pterodome. He was installed. Kyle pretended to have a competition, but it was a sham. No such thing happened, because he didn't even get the 3rd preseason game to show what he could do. Or Kyle, well, he didn't really make the announcement. Kyle at first said, "Oh, I'm gonna, swap them out back and forth each week. I'm not gonna make a decision on who's 2 or 3." Luckily, they had the same agent, and so the agent probably said, "That's bull, Kyle. Make up your mind. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You don't get to have both. Got to pick one." So he picked Darnold, which he had already picked when he first signed Darnold. So it's
yeah, I don't think there was any sort of a competition there. It was just how when you see Trey Lance do exactly what you want him to do in that second preseason game, that's all what we wanted to see from Trey Lance. It was probably some of the best offense we've seen out of this offense, as far as just consistent dropping back, hit the back foot, comes off clean, just everything clean and flowing. Not to say that we haven't had good drives before. I'm just saying that it looked like the nastiest version of our offense we've ever seen, to me, in the passing game, because we were hitting them on all different levels, and he was hitting people on the run. What I mean?
We were not hitting them on all different levels. There was not one 20 air yard or more pass in the game. I'm sorry.
But I'm talking about in Kyle's system.
Short and medium, short and intermediate. Yeah, Purdy was nailing. And he was almost perfect intermediate. It was lovely. I'm not.
But he was hitting all the throws that everybody was. We all said he needed to work on. And then right after that, you're like, he's my 3rd string. It's like, well, you put so much time into this guy. Why wouldn't you just keep him as your 2nd string, make him go against your defense, because he needs reps, right? So let's do that. Nope. Sam's there. Okay. That to me, it was like, that's how I knew it was a sham, because there was you've had him on your team for how long? You used to talk about what a great guy he is, right? So when you see that great guy starting to do what you've wanted him to be able to do this whole time, you just go, nah, I think it's best for him that he becomes the 3rd string quarterback. This is the best for his ego, for everything about him.
Kyle didn't. Kyle tried to keep them both, and then Trey Lance said, "Trade me to any team where I can be QB3 anywhere else but here. If you're gonna have this sham of a competition, then let me go." It was clear to Trey that Kyle was never going to give him a fair shake, so he said, "Let me out," and Kyle did. So it wasn't Kyle's plan to trade Trey. It came up right after that presser. The agent pressed, and the next day, boom, gone to the Cowboys. Couldn't have picked a worse team to trade him to either, other than the Seahawks, maybe.
I don't know. We don't know if I haven't heard if the Jets or the Houston Texans were putting in for Trey.
I heard there were 7 or 8 or 9 teams that were. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I just know that the Cowboys won it because they offered the most.
They offered a fourth, and Trey wanted to go to the Cowboys, partly because Jeff Christensen is there in Texas, who Pat Mahomes worked out with, who Trey worked out with this offseason, and made great leaps, big strides in his game. He shortened up his release. He improved his accuracy, improved his touch. But Kyle was already had his mind made up. So there you go.
Sean's an idiot. Sean. This guy doesn't understand.
Who cares about the backups? We're not rating backups.
Saying, what a twit.
We're rating starting QBs in the NFL. And ultimately, like, even if Micah says he's 15, there's other people who say he's 32. So, you know, none of it's precise. It's all opinions, and it's very subjective.
John. Bro, this is you. This is you, bro. From both angles. Just try to take them both. Okay? You try to make shit up just to try and prove a point. That's crazy. You know what?
This is what I've been running into for 2 days on Twitter.
Your math is off because there's third string quarterbacks also, Sean John. So go back to the lab, do the math again, and then come back and give us a more idiotic point.
I mean, mid QB is somewhere in the mid-teens. That's what it is.
You're a twit, Sean John. Oh.
Yeah, we don't care about the backups. They're not starters. Well, we don't need to say that about yourself, man. That's not. Let's be nice. Let's all be nice. He's here on our show. We appreciate you being here, Sean John. We want your input. So don't let Brian be too.
Get back to me on the numbers. Get back to me on the numbers, yo. We want the input.
16-ish is average. So you can go 14 to 18, 2 below, 2 above. It's 5 spots. And that's roughly the mediocre, average.
The true way to do it would be talking about putting it on like talent tiers. Putting it on talent tiers, because just because you say number 8 doesn't mean number 8 is essentially a top 10 quarterback in other years throughout the history of quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can't. Just because it's a number doesn't mean that it's, necessarily mid-tier. Because if you've got, let's say, 12 guys who you could say could be in contention for the top 10, right? Then that means that your top 10 is actually top 12. That's the way I see it, because it's hard for you to make those choices, which just means that there's that many guys in the top tier. So it would just, that's why I said break it down into talent tiers. So you got, Patrick Mahomes, whoever you want at the top tier, and then you start going boom, boom, boom. And then you figure out where's the mid tier, where the bulk of the guys are at. And there's probably about, I don't know, 12, somewhere around there type of guys and then it starts dropping off. And then, it either, gets shorter when it gets to the bottom, or it starts ballooning out more. You know what I mean? It all depends on the talent that you have in the league. Still trying to talk into this mic that's not working. We're not connected to it. Yeah. I don't know why we're still talking about quarterbacks. We should probably just run our own show. Let's talk CMC. Do you think Christian McCaffrey was used too much? Do you think at some point we should have? Yeah.
Everybody was used too much. We should have pulled the starters way sooner. I have several live tweets during the game. Why is Trent Williams in after he, went out favoring his right? He got the stinger. I was saying, why is CMC in? Why is Purdy in? Ayuk Debo,
No, I understand why Purdy's in.
why are all these starters? I mean, I guess you can understand why Trent Williams is in if Purdy's in, but why is
Yes,
Purdy in? You know, why?
because you don't want Sam throwing an INT.
Well, then you just hand off. The game was in hand. It was all but decided.
No, I think we should have thought Jordan Mason. I think you don't need to whip out Elijah Mitchell at this moment of point. You know what I mean? Just have Jordan Mason out there and have him put the game away. No, I think that's a great idea. I just don't think Kyle, how to put this, Kyle had it in his mind that he wasn't going to start off slow. And we obviously noticed that they weren't starting off slow. And I think Kyle was like, I'm not going to let off because I did all this work to get this win and to get us ready. I'm not going to let it go in the last seconds, in the last half of the game. So I think that's probably more what it was. It was him just like, I did all this work. I want to make sure I at least accomplish this one. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of work just to get us right here and get us in this position and firing on all cylinders, because we were firing on almost every single cylinder 100% of the plays. It was crazy.
It was fun to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Purdy's fun to watch. I mean, a lot better than Jimmy G. Jeez, so much nicer to have somebody who can, improvise. Who, when things break down, we have a fighter's chance of still making the play work. I did have some issues with Purdy, like when the strip sack happened. I felt like his internal clock wasn't ticking.
Yeah.
And TJ Watt came around. I tweeted that during the game.
Well,
and two fumbles is not a. Now I will say his recovery of the first fumble behind his back, was incredible. I was so happy he did that he kept the ball. Same time in my head, I'm thinking, just protect that arm. I'd almost rather lose the ball than risk losing that arm. Especially tussling with TJ Watt, who's a monster.
So you remember Cam Newton in the Super Bowl not falling on that fumble?
Yeah.
So he didn't have an injury, and he still had some self-preservation there. I don't think that Brock Purdy, if he felt any sort of threat or danger of that happening, he would have reached for it all. You know what I mean? There's a certain ways, and to me, I don't think he could go out and play as well as he did if there's that thought in his mind. Because if you're gonna think about it in that moment in time when you're back there in the heat of the moment, then you're gonna think about it when you're doing the throws too. So I think he's good to go as far as like the durability of his ligament. I think he's as good as he's gonna get. He might even be stronger now because of like he could get hit the same with the same violence as he did before, the same aggression, all that, and I think it'd probably hold up better just because of the fact that it's not just his natural body in there anymore. There's a brace, so he's got something a little more rigidity in there. So I'm not really too worried about that. It's more of, can he move the ball farther down the field in a consistent way? Can we get, you remember that the ball that was supposed to go to Ray and Kittle just went beeline to the spot
against
and
the Commanders?
Yeah, that was a great throw by Purdy. We haven't seen anything close to that yet.
No.
And I'm not saying he doesn't have it, but that is, having that range on your arm in our offense pays dividends. We saw it there. You know what I'm saying? If he can do those throws, it gives the defense so much more they got to think about, because, and not just that, if you just don't use it until every once in a while when you actually need it, you're just going to lull them to sleep. They're just going to forget about that one throw that it could always come through because you don't see it once a game. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're in the end zone touchdown. They're like, what happened? Everything's supposed to stay in front of us. Like, he's not supposed to throw that far, you know? So we need to have something in our, something other than a 10 to 15 yarder or 10 to 20 yarder or a 5-3 behind the line of scrimmage for one. You know what I mean? Those are our distances that we're throwing to. We need to mix it up more.
Yeah, no, I mean, you need to be able to threaten deep to keep a safety back out of the box, or else you're going to have a loaded box, which makes running more difficult. It makes yak more difficult. It makes covering weapons easier for the defense. Absolutely, you need to be able to throw deep to keep the defense honest against better defenses with better DBs, better linebackers. Steelers definitely had the good edges. Sean's upset.
Needs the tissue.
He's upset. Hey, look,
God.
I get it.
Don't go on Twitter. You're too fragile for that. Please, I wouldn't want anything to happen to you.
I'm starting to wonder if I'm too fragile for Twitter. It's been a rough couple of days.
Talking about it's not mid-tier when you think of all the second and the third string quarterbacks. Sorry.
It's all right, but you did it once. We're good. Now it's twice. I think we've done it. I think let him vent, and I hope you come back, Sean. But if not, I understand. Do what you got to do. It's
yeah.
We may not be for you.
Yeah. I don't know. So CMC, too much. You said everybody else was too much. Drake Jackson, 3 sacks. He really outshowed everybody else on that defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting a lot of one-on-ones, which is what we expected, right? A lot of attention goes to Bosa, a lot of attention goes to Hargrave. Third amount of attention goes to Armstead. Hey, Drake Jackson, one-on-one, do it, and he did. He did great. Yeah, not one, not two, but the hat trick, which is as many as TJ Watt. He just didn't have the forced fumbles.
Don't know why you're still here. So, yeah. Drake Jackson, too, like if you notice where his sacks came from, everybody was getting pressure and they were coming upfield, and the quarterback is starting to come upfield to try and rush away from all the pressure. And he just did a spin move, came back and sacked him. So it was just, awesome. It showed that he has the sight and the vision while he's in go, instead of other people that are just running to a spot. Like he's actually looking for what's going down. So it was very good to see. At least 2 of his sacks were from that. So yeah.
Hell of a game, just what we were hoping for. We've all been, I know I've been worrying a lot about defensive end too this offseason. Again, we'll see what happens against better offensive lines, but a great start for Drake Saxon. I was calling him during the game.
Yeah, no, it's a great name for him. Fred Warner was just a beast all game. I mean, so Greenlaw, like, he was everywhere, but it seemed like he was missing tackles. You know what I mean? Like he would get there first. He would at least slow the guy up, but either the second or third guy would have to come in and wrap him up and stop him. But it seemed like he was, not tackling well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they both play. Obviously, Fred was better, but it's the best linebacker duo in the league for a reason. I feel like, was it Dre that got beat on the TD?
Dre, yes, if I remember correctly, it was to his outstretched arm though. Like it was.
Yeah, it was a great pass.
It was a great, yes, like, and
Great
Dre was,
offense beats great defense type of situation.
man, like 4 inches closer, and he would have been able to do something there. But to me, he was off a little bit. He just, and I can't blame him. It's not like to me, he ran a great route for the guy. Like that's all you can do.
Yeah, no, it's Kenny Pickett made one great throw all day. Kenny Smallhands Pickett, he had a rough outing, I would say, because there were definitely Steelers open, and he got a little rattled, a little flustered. Steve Wilkes did his job with the blitzes. He did a great job of disguising the blitzes, and there weren't a ton, but they were highly effective when we did bring extra pass rushers, 5th and/or 6th.
I don't know. There was a couple of plays where they were getting the ball out so dang fast. It seemed like Kenny Pickett knew what time it was for the most part. It's the only time it seemed like we were really bringing pressure and it was doing something is kind of later in the game where they were having to try and get those longer developing plays so they can get chunk yards. Like in the beginning, it seemed like he was on the clock. You know what I mean? Like he knew exactly how much time he had, and he was trying to get out because it was like we were always so close to getting him, and the ball's going down the field. It was, I swear, we should have had another 2 or 3 sacks. It was just he got the ball out way too quick. So I felt as the game went on, it started to open up because of their situation in the score. You know what I mean? So
I hear you. I hear you. I noticed that as well.
Oh, we got a Sean. If you can't tell, there's 4 people watching, so we're talking to somebody. But hey, Sean, you should go start your own channel, bro. It'd be amazing. I'm sure you do great at it.
It's really easy.
It's real easy. I'm sure you'd be able to master it. But again, maybe not. You probably still get hung up on mid-tier quarterbacks.
What's your list of backup quarterbacks, Sean?
Yeah. Did you figure out
how you rank the 32 backups?
And how many third stringers have the NFL teams kept? Just so you know, because like the Niners don't have a third.
You better include those too.
But the Cowboys have a third. Oh wait, no, we got a third stringer, right? But he's on
Brandon Allen.
Yeah, we do. There you go. So there's at least 2 third stringers. So if you could get that list, I much appreciate it. And we're not going to block you because all the comments help with the algorithm. We appreciate you and your viewing. So I mean, win-win. Now, so let's get to Nick Bosa. Were you shocked that he didn't have any sacks?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I was more shocked that he was playing as much as he did.
Yep, I was shocked that there was no restrictions.
Now, when you saw him in, did he look rusty to you at all? Obviously, he didn't have the sack production that we're looking for, but
he got a lot of attention, like always, double and triple teamed on the regular, which is what you want.
Yes, because that left an opening for Drake Jackson.
Yep, and Hargrave and Armstead. Hargrave and Armstead got a lot of push up the middle that helped Drake as well too. To flush Pickett to Drake.
Hargrave.
It was the hounds to the hunters, to the hunter.
Yeah. There's nothing disheartening of knowing that the walls are closing in on you from the side, and then all of a sudden somebody busts through the front door. You know what I mean? Like shit. That was my only way out of here.
Yeah, it was a cleanup, mop up patrol some of the times, but those count too.
Did you? Oh, real quick, Sean John might want to do this for his campaign because I'm sure he probably wouldn't be able to get as many subscribers as we don't have. But Flave, he's gonna give away his 2023 like BMW or something to try and
Audi.
get
I think it was an Audi.
2,500 subscribers. He's been doing it for a couple weeks now. He's got like 80 something.
I saw 49er Spin making fun of him. He came at me yesterday over what I'm calling Alice Gate, which was where Alice, Niner Girl 99, quote tweeted me and said something about, well, Purdy's the guy, so just deal with it. And I was like, well, if you think that like the Steelers D was anything great, then real quick without Googling, name me a Steelers linebacker or any Steelers DB not named Minka, or we all know Pat the Pick Pete, who's washed. Name any of the other DBs or linebackers, and no, most people can't because there's no stars, there's no great or even very good players in that group other than Minka. So then everybody's like, "Oh, you're misogynist, you're sexist." And I was just like, no, I said that to a man last night, and that's why I started quote tweeting that. And, I freaking copy and pasted so much that my copy paste broke. And like my paste, I can paste a link still, but they don't expand. Like it just looks like not a dead link, but just the hyperlink or even just a piece of it. So anyway, that was a fun little exercise yesterday. Took up most of my day, but and lost, I don't know, probably like 200 followers over all that. But if you want to jump on me for being a misogynist or sexist that I'm not, then have fun, go for it. Don't need those folks anyway.
Did you bring up the fact that she was a woman in anything that you said?
No.
Okay, so how can it be misogynist? You would have to be putting a woman down, right?
People have, I guess, done that to women before, but I mean, I guess luckily I had said it to a man the night before, and it had nothing to do with it. Was just sports banter, and they're like, "Apologize." I'm like, "I will never apologize for a sport." It's ridiculous.
Do you want to be treated different or equal? What do you want? Just wondering. Do you want to be treated different? Or do you want to be treated equal?
I'm going to stay out of this one. I've already
think about it.
I see your point.
Yeah. If it's not like you were putting all women down, you weren't saying women can't have a sports opinion. You were saying that she couldn't have her opinion.
No, I was just saying that, if you think Purdy was great, like let's see it against a real defense, because I thought the Steelers were rolling out after the eye test. That Steelers D is not good. Sorry.
I hope they don't. What was that?
They were ranked top 10 last season, and they lost a lot of guys, including Stephon Tuitt retired. Cam Sutton went to the Detroit Lions. There's a few others. Some of their linebackers moved on. And they're like, oh, well, they have Quan. I guess you can name Quan Alexander as a linebacker, but come on, that dude, all he ever was hype and injuries, and he's washed. Dude's washed.
Bebop says he saw someone on 95.7 say they put 5,000 down for the Niners to win it all for a 50,000 payout. 50,000. Jeez, that's
10-1, huh?
I don't know. Me putting down that much money for the odds not to be greater. You know what I mean? To me, I'm not just going throwing $5,000 down. And it all depends on like what your bank account is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing about those things though, Ryan, I don't know if you know this, but when people make a lot of these big bets that they show the ticket for like that, a lot of times they put $5,000 that the Niners won't make it, and they hedge the bet. So you don't even see that part. So like either way, they're not making any money, but it looks like they took this big risk. There's that guy, the Mattress King, used to like bet $1 million on like the Cowboys or whoever it was to win the Super Bowl every year, the Chiefs or whoever it was. And then it came out that he was hedging the bets and was never really risking a dime. in the whole thing. So keep in mind, folks, the things aren't always what they appear. So,
Sean, bro, I don't want you to do anything rash, bro. People love you. Just so you know, I don't want you to do anything drastic. Okay. It seems like you're going a little overboard here, homie.
no, it's fine. If you're that upset, then unfollow, mute, block, whatever you need to do. It's your timeline. It's your time. If you don't like spending time with us, there's other people you can go watch. That's fine. We'll miss you, but don't let the door hit you, or the good Lord split you.
He says rolling into a predominantly male environment, talk about QBs, and you can't hold a good argument for your opinion. Don't waste your time talking into that. Yeah. Well, but at the same time, like, if they're going to be in the space, you should be able to interact with them, and they should be able to interact with you.
Well, it's not like I went at her. She quote tweeted me. So I didn't go looking for her. She came to me. So if you come to me, you should know me well enough to know that, like, I'm going to argue with anybody, and I'll use my best stuff. If not right away, at some point in the argument. And so be prepared. Be prepared.
Yes. I
Alberto
remember
in the house. What's up, Alberto? Thanks for joining.
I remember you called me out on something. I was like, oh, you're right. And then it was like a day later, I was like, hey, but Ted. And then you're like, oh, shit, you got me. Yeah. Oh.
Well, I think we misunderstood each other twice. Like,
oh, that was right. That
you
was right.
were tweeting a reply to somebody. I thought it was aimed at me, and it was aimed at the guy that was further up in the string. And so, like, I was like, I DM'd you. I was like, Ryan, is that what I thought it was? And you're like, no, dude. I'm like, oh, I'm such a dumb. And then I went back and reread it. And I was like, oh, there was like a don't or a just or something that totally changed the meaning. And I was like, my old eyes, I misread it. My bad. And you had done the same with me in the tweet I had done where you thought was that you, and it wasn't. So that's why you should always double check. A lot of times when things are in text, it's easy to misunderstand. It's easy to, sometimes people are being sarcastic, but they don't put any emojis or LOL or anything to hint at it. Sometimes it's hard to tell if people are being serious, if they're joking, they're mocking you.
Or if you have like an awkward pause before you say something really important. You know what I mean? Like, oh, so you're thinking of words to say. Okay. So there's something behind here we need to figure out what you're trying to be sensitive and tiptoe around. Shout out to Frank Tom Ocean. He says, Ted putting in the work. I like it. Shout out.
Frank. Thanks for joining. Good to see you.
James in here trolling Sean. It's hilarious. Thank you, James. James is from the other side of the pond. So he's in the middle of the night having to deal with Sean. Anything else? Let's see. Anything else we should talk? I know we still got to hit up our hot take. But anything else you wanted to bring up and talk about? Well, we Brandon Ayuk we missed. Yeah. Your thoughts on Brandon Ayuk's game?
Not surprised. He balled out in camp. He was the best player in camp. Just good to see it translating to the season. I would just say when we play a team with better corners and better linebackers, he may not be running quite so wide open. So before you sell your Debo stock, let's see how we do against the tougher defenses we play this year, like the Eagles and Cowboys. I think Debo will be very clutch in those huge moments. But yeah, Brandon Ayuk was phenomenal. It was one of the top rated players by PFF. I'm not a huge PFF guy. A lot of times when people talk about PFF, I'll just say it's not trash, but it's not much better than trash. But nonetheless, Brandon was in the top 3 wide receivers for week 1. And he I think he got like a 92 rating or something like that. So that was kind of exciting. I was happy to see that. Like I said, I don't hold them in that high regard, but it matched what I saw with the eye test. Yeah, they had Tyreek Hill with 93, Ayuk with 92, and Garrett Wilson 84.6. He had that circus catch last night against the Bills, despite great coverage by Tre'Davious White in the left corner of the end zone. It was a great throw and catch by Wilson to Wilson. So
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a great throw. It was, to me, I thought it was a bad throw. Yeah. In fact, I remember the announcer saying that. I think he messed up and said great pass. Well, it wasn't a great. Do you think that Brandon Ayuk could be featured more this year to try and make him happy and want to stay on the team? Like, hey, you're going to get your yards. You know what I mean? Maybe Debo takes a back seat a little. Maybe not say we don't, he's not a back seat. But if you notice that touchdown that he caught, that Ayuk caught when he broke Peterson's ankles and was just standing all alone in the end zone. If you notice, Debo was the gimmick on that play. He was the eye candy. Right. And he took the safety and the linebacker out of that space, and all he had. And if you look where they were lined up, there's so much field to the side there that when Brandon Ayuk faked to go to outside, he had to fall for it, or else if Brandon Ayuk went over there and took that angle, he was going to be screwed. There's no way he could keep up. So he bit so hard on that fake. It was a great play drawn up, and I have a feeling that Debo might be more of like a decoy / bubble screen. Like when when Brandon Ayuk and Kittle are being looked at way too much, then they're going to sneak Debo in right behind. And then you're going to have to think about him too. And then that's just going to make it so you have to play a straight up, essentially. You know what I mean? Like we got too much going on. We're going to keep going this guy until you try and stop him. Then we're going to bring another guy in till you try and stop him. They're going to bring the third guy in, and you can't really double team three people. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so
you absolutely can't. That's the beauty of our offense. We have four stud weapons, and it's too much for any defense to cover. Just hope they all stay healthy and stay productive, because you really just have to build a wall for Purdy and let him play point guard if they can all keep it going.
Now, real quick, we'll talk about James' question here. What are we expecting in the Rams game? Battle in the trenches is going to be important. Yes, that last half, you can't tell. That was a statement by James saying we need to get that trenches secured. Yes, we do. I think that's definitely a big point, is the trenches. But also, you saw Matt Stafford getting that ball off to those young guys, the Puka Nacua and what's
Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell.
Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell.
Yeah.
In there, if I'm not mistaken.
So we're going to be busy. And we were doing a lot of man, it looked like. Because I saw Lenore traveling a lot. You know what I'm saying? I saw Lenore traveling a lot. And we'll see how that plays out. The Rams are probably going to test us more in that regard than I think the Steelers were. You know what I mean? As far as
Stafford's way better than Pickett. Stafford is he's a franchise QB. That's what a top 10 QB looks like. Not Stafford.
But I mean, like, as far as the game plan strategy, moving people around, the motion. You know what I mean? Because when a team does motion, it tips your hand on the defense, obviously. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Sean McVay understands us more than Mike Tomlin does, I guess I would say. And this is where our secondary is really going to get their test, I have a feeling. Even though there's like no-namers running out there. You know what I mean? Running down the field for the Rams. But they still, obviously, you can see they get in production. So they're definitely not no-namers. They're somebodies. We just don't know how much of a somebody they are yet.
Yeah, I think their defense, they've got Aaron Donald. They have, I think it's Ernest Jones is a pretty good middle linebacker, and they have John Johnson in the secondary. And I don't know that there's anybody else on that defense than one guy at each level to be afraid of. So I don't know that. I don't know. I think we should. I mean, we should definitely win the game. I don't know how much by. I haven't made my score prediction yet.
Yeah.
No, I usually wait till closer to game time to see who's going to play.
It all depends on what happens up front with that our offensive line and their defensive line. Because I'm just going to go ahead and say that our defense might have an issue here and there with their offense, but we're pretty much gonna. I don't see them scoring over 14 points. You know what I mean? I don't see them scoring over 14 points. Maybe 17 at the very highest, but I don't see them over 14 points. I don't see our defense giving up that much. It's just, can our offensive line deal with Aaron Donald? Our offensive line can deal with them. It's more.
Well, Brunskill was really helpful with Aaron Donald, and he's gone. So I don't know. Ken Burford, that's a tall task for a second-year player who really only played half a season as a rookie. Half the snaps at right guard. So
I have faith in Burford, even though he cost us. He had a couple penalties last game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something, but McKivitz is the real question. He gave up 3 sacks to TJ Watt, but TJ Watt's a top tier guy. So what is he against average? Average between the first stringers, the second stringers, and the third stringers. How does he average against mid tier between the first, second, and third stringers? Where does he match up? So
I think McKivitz will do all right. I think TJ Watt's literally the hardest edge to line up against, other than Bosa, Myles Garrett, or Micah Parsons. Those guys are all up there for top edge. And honestly, TJ Watt has way more sacks than Bosa. He's got more years of experience too, but and less injuries, injury games missed. But it's something like 70-40 or something like that. So TJ Watt made a case for the best edge in the NFL on Sunday, clearly.
After seeing the game, I was like, saw him give up 3 sacks, and I was like, man, that's not good. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, what was I expecting him to do? You know what I mean? Now that I think about it, I was like, well, he only gave up 3 sacks against TJ Watt. I guess we'll just call that mid. How about we just call that mid? We'll just nice round number. We'll just call that mid. I think, I don't know. I think that I didn't expect him to do much more. So I can't really be disappointed in what he did. And it's supposedly he has issues in the run game. Well, looked like he was doing okay in the run game. And if he's better in pass protection than McGlinchey, somebody was lying to us. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's like, oh, he's better. Because isn't that the thing we heard about him? He's a little better in the pass game than McGlinchey is. He's just not as efficient.
I said that I thought he could be better than McGlinchey in the pass blocking, but not as good in the run blocking and not as good overall.
I swear the coaches have been saying that. Like, I swear I heard Forrester say that. I swear I've heard maybe even Grant had said that. And I'm thinking, like, McGlinchey's ass, but he's not giving up 3 sacks week 1, I don't think. Now, I might be just talking out my ass. I just don't remember him giving up sacks consistently. Wow.
Well, the thing is that a lot of times elite edge rushers end up over against Trent Williams. But for whatever reason, TJ Watt is more comfortable on the left side of the defense against the right tackle for the offense. So, I mean, in McGlinchey's career, you could probably go through, and there's probably only a few guys that are, at that level that he played. Just a handful of edges that were at that level. Zadarius Smith was, but I think McGlinchey was out for that game. I think that was when he had his meniscus. Myles Garrett, obviously, but I don't know how much he played against right tackle. Micah, but we saw Micah do the McChoke slammed, as David McNuevo likes to say. So McNew. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't think McGlinchey faced a lot of really elite edges. Nuosu's pretty good for the Seahawks, but he's not in that tier.
No, he's not. He's like the thorn. You know what I mean? He's not gonna. He just comes up when you don't expect it. And it's just really just inconvenient. You know what I mean? It's not like he's really the thorn. Actually, he shouldn't be considered a thorn because a thorn is stuck in your side. Nick Bosa is like a thorn. He's always going to be there, never going to be able to pull it out, and it hurts. Arizona, the Cardinals thorn. Yeah. Anything else you think? There was other questions. Oh, real quick, Aaron Rodgers. We were getting asked if we think the Jets will ask maybe Matt Ryan to come out of retirement.
I saw Cap on the timeline today.
Cap, and then I heard somebody was asking if Sam Darnold might get another look.
Andrew Luck. I think I saw Brady in there.
I don't think Andrew Luck can just come back. I think he has to
get traded by the Colts.
Yeah, he has to get traded by the Colts, and I don't think they're giving up more capital for a quarterback. I think they'd sign somebody off the streets. I don't know. Like, the perfect guy for them right now is Ryan Fitzmagic, but he's been out of the league so long, I wouldn't know if he was still good or not. But that's a guy I can get down with.
I suppose.
I would like him. He's got a heart of a plumber. I thought it was bullshit that he got pulled for Tua. Not that I didn't want to see Tua get a shot, but like when you want to see something through, and then you start something and it starts to go well, and you're like, yeah, we got something here, and then someone just like totally screws it all up. You're like, why? You could have just let me finish out the year. I could have gone somewhere else and, have them start the season, this and that. We could have gone somewhere. They were on a momentum, and they just totally just messed it up.
I think they were just sure that, Fitz wasn't the long-term answer. So why delay? Why not just get started and take your lumps with Tua, and hopefully he'll be better the next year. And he was pretty good the next year, if I recall. So when he was able to stay healthy and not have concussions.
Yeah, that poor guy. The concussions.
Yeah, the thing about concussions is they're progressive, so they don't get better. It's just something that's it's I'm not gonna say bound to happen, but it's I wouldn't be shocked if he has more issues with that.
Most definitely. So let's get into our hot take. We'll wrap this up. What's your weekly hot take?
My weekly hot take. What did I say last week? I said Ambry Thomas will get an interception, and you said Clee Farrell 2 sacks, right? If I
remember. 2 sacks. I said Cleveland Farrell 2 sacks, which since Bosa came back, it looks like Cleveland Farrell was like almost odd man out.
Yeah, which is not super surprising.
Well, no, Kinda, because remember, Chris Kosurik was like Drake Jackson. He's still got a lot of work to do. Like his body, essentially, he needs to put on more weight and do it. Not put on more weight, but put on more muscle / weight. And he needed to do all this. And Cleveland Farrell, he's already done all this, right? But yet Drake Jackson is the guy out there because he's got more to him. I think he's got more technique already, knows the system better, I'm guessing. And so I think he gets the edge. So that's kind of surprising to me. I thought that Cleveland Farrell would be the guy opposite Bosa if Bosa wasn't, if Bosa was playing, and he would be on the left side, or sorry, on the right side of the defense when Bosa wasn't playing. So it was kind of a shock to me, but it's good to know. Hey, Drake Jackson, baby, we got that guy. We only got Cleveland Farrell for 1 year. Drake Jackson, we got on contract. So,
yep.
Seeing that the guy who's got the long-term contract is doing better is good.
Let's hope it keeps up. We'll see. So my hot take, I'll go. Debo. He's kind of a Rams killer. I'll say Debo 2 TDs against the Rams.
Oh, Debo 2 TDs. Yes, I can see that because like the whole Debo who thing.
Yeah, with Aaron Donald.
Yeah. And there's been like, I don't remember Brandon Ayuk talking about the Rams, but I do remember a part where somebody was talking about, hey, what do you guys think about the Rams? Do you guys, isn't like, we don't even care about those guys. We don't think about those guys. We don't talk to those guys. We don't do nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like that whole team. I'm sure 49ers and Seahawks talk, you know what I'm saying? Like there's when it comes to Rams Niners, it's just like, nope, there is between both teams, there is absolutely no love, which I like. I like. And personally, like, you can't, none of these teams are here to be friends with. You're not like, oh, let's get together afterwards. I know there's people around the league after they play on enough teams that, listen, man, I'm down with who I'm down with. Anybody else, I'm sorry. You're gone. You're gone. So
no doubt. Just real quick, Steve-O was saying on another note, nice visor, Ted. Thanks, Steve-O. Yeah, I've got a few new visors I've been rocking. There were a couple I ordered from a questionable site that never delivered, so I had PayPal pull my money back, and I found a few others on eBay. And so I got this one and a couple other reddish, blackish ones. So this one's the red and gray. But thanks for noticing, Steve. I appreciate it. And trying to keep my visor game fresh. It's hard to find visors in season, so I grab. If anybody ever sees links, be sure and DM them to me.
My God, we got a visor connoisseur.
Oh yeah, hats don't fit me well. My head's too tall. It's like another 2 inches above my head with the hat. It just looks.
Oh, so you can't shave your head.
Well, I mean, I have hair, so I'll wait till it falls out.
So, like, if you shave your head, it'll put it on blast.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it shows it off more. Like, I know some people, they shave their head and they got scars on the back of their head, and it's like, bro, you should just pick it. You know what I mean? Like it looks cooler than the patch of hair missing. If you got, show the scar, not the patch of hair missing. You know what I mean? So just pick it. So like Jed, look, Jed, you got all that money. Figure it out. Either pay to fix it or just cut it all off, homie. Figure it out. Go to the bald man's club. It's okay. It's all right. I bet you look okay bald. I bet you he'd actually look okay bald. Open up the shirt collar a little bit. Get him a gold chain. You know what I mean? A little bit of sun, Jed, you look a little pale. But, you know what I mean? You can, go back to the roots. You know what I'm talking about?
There you go.
Use guys. You know what I'm talking about? My mom told me I had to always do this. What's going on here? Oh. Okay. So my hot take, I don't know. Fred Warner interception. And well, I'm just gonna say Brock Purdy 2 passing touchdowns.
That's pretty safe bet. Seems like
Yeah,
it's
okay.
pretty consistent. But no, I like Fred Warner. No, that's good. The combo.
No,
makes it.
let's go Brock Purdy 3 touchdowns. Let's go Brock Purdy 3 touchdowns.
All right, I like it. I can
All
see
right.
it. Well, thanks,
Now,
Ryan. It's been fun.
Yeah.
What you got going on coming up this week?
I got a show tonight. I believe it's on Bashar's channel.
Nice.
Or it might be on Mariah's channel, 6 o'clock. Bring the heat. Bring the heat. So yeah, check us out. We'll be there. Got a show tomorrow with Anshul. Got a show later on Wednesday with Joe. Friday, obviously the Friday night pregame show. Saturday night we got a pick'ems. Check us out.
Sorry, I had somebody knocking on the door, so I muted. So yeah, it's definitely time for me to go. But yeah, real quick tomorrow, obviously First and Ted with Aaron at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. I've got Zach from Payo Time Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and then Bash, the usual Balling with Bash and Ted Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure everybody tune in. Appreciate it. I'll say peace. Go Niners.
We out.